Hi 5th grade Math All-Stars. Today's lesson is lesson 11.1, which is looking at patterns in decimal division. So, yesterday we looked at finding patterns in whole numbers in division. Today we're going to do the same thing, we're just going to involve decimals. So as I always say, don't freak out just because there's a decimal. Let's take a look at how we can do this. Alright, so we know that we're going to look for patterns in our answer. The answer to a division problem, again, is called a quotient. So let's find out what our pattern is here. I'm going to look for a pattern in my zeros. So 200 divided by 4 equals 50. I know that because yesterday we learned I can take 20 divided by 4 equals 5, and I have 1 0 left over, so I'm going to have 1 0 left over. Okay? So that's what my pattern in my 0 is. Next, I'm going to have 20 divided by 4 equals 5. My last problem in my pattern is 2 divided by 4 equals 5/10. So again, let's look at a pattern that we're finding here. My first answer is 50. My next one I'm going down to 5. Remember, a decimal point is always to the right of a number. Is always to the right of the ones place. So I have a decimal point here. So it looks like I'm moving my decimal point over to the left by 1. So 20 divided by 4 equals 50. So now in 2 divided by 4, if I move my decimal point over 1 more, so I had 5, I'm going to move it to the left by 1. Now I'm going to have 5/10. If I think about that for just a second, that should make sense to me. If I'm dividing a number, my numbers are going to get smaller. So if I want my number to get smaller, I'm going to move my decimal point to the left. Again, when I'm dividing, my numbers are going to get smaller. So I'm going to move my decimal point to the left by 1 digit. That's the pattern that I'm looking at right here. I move my decimal point to the left by 1, I get 5. I move my decimal point to the left by 1, I get 5/10. That's the pattern that I have in my quotient. Alright, let's take a look at another example. Here's my example. Again, I want to make this as simple as I can. So my basic fact that I know is 48 divided by 6. 48 divided by 6 is 8. I have 2 zeros left over, so I know that this answer is going to be 800. So 4,800 divided by 6 equals 800. Now I'm going to have 480 divided by 6. Again, basic fact, 48 divided by 6 is 8. And I have 1 0 left over. Remember the pattern that we talked about in our last slide? I am moving my decimal point over to the left by 1. So that's how I end up with 80. So let's take a look at 48 divided by 6. If I move my decimal point over to the left by 1, I'm going to end up with 8. I know that 48 divided by 6 is 8. So now let's take a look at 4 8/10 divided by 6. Again, my basic fact is 48 divided by 6. I know that's 8. If I move my decimal place over in my problem above 1 time, move it over by 1, my answer is going to be 8/10. So now in this one, I'm going to have 8/100. Because I had to move my decimal point over by 1 again. So I have 800, 80, 8, 8/10, 8/100. If you think about our handy dandy place value chart, our handy dandy place value chart tells us we have the hundreds place value, the tens, the ones, the tenths, and the hundredths. So our examples are following our place value system. Mrs. Hook and Mr. Skura don't lie when we say place value is not going to go away and it's always important. This is another example of why knowing your place value is important. You can follow that pattern. Alright, this time you're going to try your own problem. So you need to hit pause right now, and on your notes page you are going to try to solve number 2 here where it says you try. So you're going to do 5,400 divided by 9 all the way down the list. So hit pause and we'll come back in a minute to see how you did. Alright, after you've unpaused, this is what we should come up with. My basic fact is 54 divided by 9. 54 divided by 9 is 6. I have 2 zeros, so my answer here is going to be 600. 54 divided by 6 is 6. And I've got 1 0 left over, so my answer is going to be 60. See my pattern forming again? Here I have the hundreds. Now I'm down to the tens. 54 divided by 9 is plain old 6. And that follows my pattern. Now I have 5 4/10 divided by 9. If I follow my pattern, I'm going to move my decimal 1 spot to the left. So I'm going to end up with 6/10. 54 divided by 9 is 6. I follow my pattern. I move it 1 more spot to the left. This time I'm going to have 6/100. Again, here's my pattern. Yay, place value. 600, 60, 6, 6/10, and 6/100 follows my place value. And that is the end of our examples for lesson 11.1, which is patterns in decimal division. So again, using your place value, you're going to find a pattern and move your decimal point 1 place to the left.